You ever walk into a place and feel like you don't exist? Not in some philosophical or all just specks of dust floating in an infinite void kind of way, but like, literally, you're standing there fully grown, breathing, and yet somehow no one sees you. Yeah, that was today. His name was Jerome Wilson, 46, wildly accomplished, and somehow completely unseen. The wild part, this wasn't just any hotel. It was one of the flagship properties in the luxury chain he had built from scratch. A place where a single night's bill could match someone's monthly paycheck. But today, he stood unnoticed at the front desk, like some random walk-in. He wasn't there by coincidence. He'd been getting a steady drip of complaints. Nothing extreme at first, but enough red flags to grab his attention. Guests being dismissed, strange booking issues, subtle signs that something was off. He could have followed protocol, emailed management, requested internal reviews, sent a team to snoop around. But Jerome understood these kinds of problems. You don't fix them behind a screen, you show up. So he came in quietly. No suit, no driver, no name badge, just a guy with a reservation, and right away he felt it. That signature service his brand bragged about, nowhere in sight. At the counter sat a young blonde named Kim, maybe 23, with the enthusiasm of someone forced to work on their day off. She was glued to her phone, eyes locked in a scroll loop, ignoring everything else. Jerome gave it a beat, then cleared his throat. Silence. He tapped the counter, still nothing. Finally he said, "Excuse me." She huffed dramatically before lifting her gaze like someone had just interrupted her mid-vacation. Her expression was blank, no smile, no greeting, just a lazy yeah. Jerome kept it cool. "I have a reservation. Name's Jerome Wilson." She typed with the energy of a dying battery. "Doesn't look like we have anything under that name." He raised a brow. "Could you check again?" "I did." She was already back to her phone. And right then he knew. This wasn't a system glitch. This was attitude. She had looked at him, made a decision, and dismissed him. He stayed calm. "Please double check." Kim groaned, tapped half-heartedly on her keyboard and muttered, "Still nothing." No apology, no offer to help. Jerome opened his phone, pulled up the confirmation email, and held it out. She barely glanced. "That might be for one of our other locations. People mess that up all the time." He tilted his head slightly. "You saying I booked the wrong hotel?" She gave him that smug smile, the kind you save for someone you think you're smarter than. "It's easy to mix them up." Jerome exhaled through his nose, steadying his voice. "What if this is the right location?" She shrugged. "Then something's off with the system." But he knew better. Their booking software didn't just lose names, not unless someone told it to. And something about the way she avoided his eyes, the way she flat out refused to verify the booking again, the way she dismissed him so casually, it wasn't new to Jerome. He recognized this pattern instantly. It wasn't a system hiccup. It was personal. She had taken one glance and made her decision. He didn't belong. He wasn't someone who deserved her attention, much less courtesy. He'd experienced this kind of bias before, the kind that hides behind fake smiles and flimsy excuses, where one guest's error becomes a technical issue while another's becomes their problem. Usually Jerome let things like this slide, not because he didn't care, but because some fights weren't worth the energy. But not today. Today, he'd had enough. He pulled out his backup phone, the one connected to every layer of the company's infrastructure, and logged in using his executive access. Within seconds, he located his booking. Status confirmed, time-stamped, complete. Then he scrolled deeper into the log. There it was, clear as daylight. The reservation had been cancelled manually, and next to that action, a name. Kim, front desk associate. Bingo. Jerome looked up at her name tag, forcing a calm expression. "Quick question, Kim," he said casually. She kept thumbing through her phone like none of this mattered. "Yeah." "What exactly happens when someone removes a reservation from the system?" She didn't look up. "It just disappears, like poof, it's gone." "And who has the power to do that?" he asked. She gave a little shrug. "Only front desk employees like me." "Exactly." Jerome clicked one final time, rotated the phone, and held it up for her to see. Her eyes snapped to the screen, and there it was, her name, her action, her timestamp. The color drained from her face in real time. For the first time since he arrived, she looked rattled. Now, Jerome said in a low voice, explain to me why you removed my reservation. Her lips parted, then closed, her voice failing to arrive. He leaned a little closer. You want to take a minute? Because I'm really curious what you'll come up with, she stammered. I mean, I don't even try it, he cut in sharply. She flinched, and it was glorious. I saved the logs. That shut her up completely. He took a deep breath and stepped back from the counter, the urge to blow up this entire lobby pulsing through his chest, but he held it together. Not yet, this required a different approach. So instead, he rested his elbows on the counter and smiled like they were having a friendly chat. Here's what's going to happen, he said evenly. She nodded quickly, already fumbling for the keyboard. You're going to find me a room right now. Her fingers moved with panicked energy. Yes, she said. I've got one. Say it louder. I found a room, she said, eyes locked on the screen. Of course you did. She grabbed a key card and slid it across the desk, still not daring to meet his gaze. Here you go, sir. He didn't even reach for it. Which room? 1427, he asked, letting out a dry chuckle. The worst one in the whole damn place, huh? Kim tensed up immediately. She thought she was being slick. Room 1427 sat right beside the noisy elevator shaft, shared a wall with the utility closet, and its windows looked straight out onto the trash bins in the back alley. Jerome didn't just know this hotel, he had designed it, every inch of it, every floor, every suite, every dead-end hallway, and giving him that particular room, that wasn't coincidence, that was spite. He tilted his head slowly. Tell me something, Kim. Do I look like I was born yesterday? Her lips pressed together in a tight line. No, Then why the hell would you hand me that key like I wouldn't realize exactly what you were trying to pull? The air thickened. People nearby had picked up on the tension. Guests on couches casting sideways glances while pretending not to listen. A bellhop standing by the luggage rack, suddenly adjusting his jacket like it was the most interesting thing in the world. Jerome reached over and picked up the keycard with calm precision. Appreciate it, Kim. He turned and walked toward the elevator with measured steps. But this wasn't over, not even close. As soon as he entered the room, still had that awful clanking noise from the elevator shaft, still smelled faintly of bleach and mildew. Jerome set his laptop on the desk and powered it up. Time to dig. He logged into the internal dashboard, combed through guest service records, flagged complaints, anything that would paint a clearer picture of what had been going on here. It didn't take long. Kim's name showed up everywhere, complaint ignored without follow-up. Kim, guest claimed racially biased treatment at check-in. Kim, front desk denied services citing vague policies without explanation. You guessed it, Kim. Multiple issues traced back to her, and yet somehow she was still behind that desk. Jerome kept scrolling, and the missing piece clicked into place. The manager, Stephen Lane. A guy so allergic to conflict, he probably broke into hives when someone ordered the wrong coffee. Kim had been a walking HR nightmare for months, maybe longer, and Stephen hadn't done a damn thing about it. Fine. That meant it was his turn to clean house. Jerome made his way back to the lobby with calm, deliberate steps. Kim spotted him but didn't say a word, assuming maybe that he'd let it go. She was wrong. He walked right past the front desk and into the office marked manager, not bothering to knock. Stephen looked up from his monitor, startled, his expression shifting from confusion to panic in less than 2 seconds. Mr. Wilson, wow, I didn't know you were visiting today. Jerome shut the door and leaned against it, arms crossed. Stephen, save it. We need to talk. Thieman's Adam's apple bobbed. Sure, of course, what's going on? Jerome stared him down. You have any idea what's been happening out at your front desk? Stephen blinked fast. Well, I think things have been running fine. Wrong. Jerome's tone cut like glass. One of your staff deleted my reservation. Mine. Stephen's face drained of all color. Wait, what? Who? Jerome smirked. Go ahead, say it. Stephen stammered, hands twitching. It was Kim, wasn't it? Bingo. Jerome watched as the man's soul briefly left his body. Listen, Mr. Wilson, I promise, I was just about to handle that. I know she's been difficult. Jerome raised a hand. Stop talking, Stephen, just stop. He let the silence build, thick and uncomfortable. You've had complaints about her stacking up like junk mail for almost a year, maybe more. and you let her stay. Why? Stephen looked like someone who just realized he forgot his parachute mid-skydive. I thought maybe she needed more training. Training? Jerome barked out a laugh. Stephen, she's not some lost intern who clicked the wrong button in a rush. She's not just a problem. She's your problem, Jerome said, his voice low and final. Stephen looked like he wished the floor would open up and swallow him whole. Jerome let the silence linger, then exhaled slowly and nodded once. Here's what's going to happen, Stephen. You're going to walk out there and fire her right now in front of everyone. Stephen's mouth dropped open. Like right now, Jerome didn't blink. Stephen hesitated, glanced toward the lobby like it might save him, then nodded weakly, defeated. 2 minutes later, the entire front lobby got an unexpected show. The manager walked up to the front desk, and in front of guests, staff, and even a couple of kids clutching juice boxes, he told Kim she was done. She tried everything. Denial, fake tears, blame shifting, but none of it worked. Her badge was pulled, her login access revoked, and before she could process it all, she was out the door. Jerome stood a few feet back, arms crossed, watching with quiet satisfaction. As Kim marched toward the exit, cheeks flushed, eyes blazing, she turned and shot him a glare that could have melted steel. He just smiled, sweet, quiet, final, because the real kicker, she still had no clue who he was. Watching her disappear through those glass doors, Jerome felt something shift. Not just satisfaction, it was deeper. He wasn't just here to fire a rude employee. This was about the standard, the reputation, the empire. Stephen, wiping his forehead with the back of his hand like he'd just run a marathon, turned to Jerome. Well, that's done. I took care of it. Jerome tilted his head. No, Stephen, I took care of it. You just stood there looking like you forgot how to breathe. Stephen gave a nervous laugh, assuming it was a joke. It wasn't. Jerome continued, tone casual but sharp. You know I could replace you too, right? For letting this place spiral into a PR disaster. Stephen nodded quickly, almost too fast. I swear, Mr. Wilson, I'll do better. I'll fix all of it. Jerome smirked. Cute, but no, you're not fixing anything, I am. With that, he walked back into the lobby. The crowd had thinned, but the ones who were still there watched him like he was part celebrity, part storm system. He strode past the front desk, leaned in slightly toward the remaining clerks, and spoke, just loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Listen up, this place, it's about to change immediately. A young guy no older than 22 straightened up. Yes, sir, are you with corporate? Jerome grinned, something like that. He reached over and picked up the desk phone, dialing a number from memory. The line clicked. Wilson here, he said simply, shut this property down for a full audit. I want every complaint reviewed, every guest refunded, and every staff member evaluated. If they're not up to standard, they're out, effective today. The room froze. You could hear someone inhale across the lobby. One of the receptionists blinked. Wait, are you that Jerome Wilson? Jerome slipped the phone back into his pocket, looked around and gave a calm nod. Yeah, that one. Silence fell like a bomb had dropped. Someone gasped. The kid behind the counter looked like his brain short-circuited. Stephen stood motionless, his jaw slightly open like he just witnessed a miracle or a nightmare. Maybe both. Jerome adjusted his jacket with one smooth tug and started toward the elevator. Now, if you'll excuse me, he said, voice cool as steel, I have a business to rebuild. And just like that, he was gone. The elevator doors slid shut. Behind him, sealing in the stunned silence of the lobby like a closing chapter, he didn't need to look back. He knew what they were thinking. Holy shit. That was the Jerome Wilson, the man behind the empire. And as the elevator hummed upward, he let the silence settle around him. It was perfect. By the time he reached his suite, his phone was vibrating non-stop. Missed calls, messages from corporate, maybe even the board. He ignored them all, let them wonder, let them sweat. He had work to do. He opened his laptop and logged into the system. First order of business. House cleaning began immediately. Kim blacklisted. Not just fired, barred from every property under his brand, coast to coast. Her name was scrubbed from the system like a virus. As for Stephen, he had about 1 inch of rope left. Jerome would let him dangle there, just long enough to see if he had anything worth salvaging. Probably not. Jerome pulled up the guest records, flipping through complaint after complaint. And the more he read, the hotter his blood ran. People had been talked down to, dismissed, straight up ignored. That wasn't just a customer service failure. That was a direct insult to everything Jerome had built. He started handing out VIP upgrades like candy, issued full refunds, free nights, personal apology letters signed under his name. That's how an empire stays on top, by fixing shit when it breaks. A knock broke the silence. He didn't need to ask who it was. Stephen stood in the hallway like a man headed to his own funeral, pale as drywall. "Mr. Wilson, please, I didn't know." Jerome leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes sharp. "Exactly. That's the issue, Stephen. You had no clue what was happening in your own lobby. I can make this right," Stephen stammered. "I'll get it all cleaned up, I promise." "You fired Kim?" Jerome interrupted. Yes, just like you said." "Good," Jerome replied coolly, then added, "Now go pack your stuff." Stephen blinked. "What? You heard me. You're finished." Jerome's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. "You stood by while this place rotted under your management. You had your shot and you blew it." Stephen's expression cracked. "Sir, please." Jerome gave him a pat on the shoulder, calm as ever. "Don't worry, I'm sure there's a roadside inn somewhere that'll appreciate your skills." The words landed like a slap. Stephen staggered, stunned, as Jerome gently closed the door in his face. No more second chances, not in this company. Jerome turned, poured himself a drink from the minibar, and sat down with a long, satisfied breath. The hotel would bounce back stronger. The business would run tighter. And the next time someone at the front desk thought they could get away with treating people like trash, they'd remember this moment. Because now, everyone knew exactly who the hell Jerome Wilson was.